Welcome back to the Practical Woodsman. I've just got a short video to share with you this time around. It's a review of the CoCuKi Axe and fixed blade knife combo set, and never in my life did I think I would be doing a commercial one day, but I reckon that's what this is. CoCuKi sent me the knife and the axe for free, and so and then they asked me to if I might be interested in doing a review about it. I'll tell you, I wouldn't be doing a review about it if they just weren't such high quality. They're really nice. I know what you're thinking. He's just saying that because they gave him these products. Well, they're not paying me anything else other than having just given me the products. And to be honest with you, I am grateful. I am grateful to have them. They're very nice, and I intend to use especially the knives. Let's get into this. I want to show these things off to you in case you're kicking around the idea of making this a part of your kit. I think I can tell you the pros and cons of it, and I'll be as honest as I possibly can be. But before we do that, let's do the musical introduction. Alright, so here we have the CoCuKi, and I keep looking over here because I've got a guide on my screen, on my computer screen. I can't remember the name without having to look over at it. It's spelled CoCuKi, and like I say, it's available on Amazon. That's where I got it, and I've had it now for about a month, I reckon. Let me tell you about first impressions when these things come in the mail. I was really impressed when I opened up the box. When I ordered these, it was kind of as a curiosity. I did not think, upon ordering, that I was going to get something of high quality. And so when it arrived and I first saw it, I was really impressed. It come out of the box. The knife, both the knife and the axe, both come out of the box oiled, very sharp, and I could just tell as soon as I picked them up and put them in my hand that these things were high quality. My interest primarily was in the knife from the very beginning. As soon as I saw the knife, I thought, man, that is a really nice knife. Let me show that off to you. As arrived sharp as could be. But what I particularly like about knives, and what I look for in a knife, is I kind of like a drop tip. By the way, I'm not a knife expert, I'm not a hatchet expert, but I think they call this a drop tip or a drop nose knife, and I really like that design. For me, it's a good all-purpose design for a knife. But one thing that I really look for is a nice, hardy, thick spine on the knife, and this has that. It's robust. Also, I have decided that I don't really prefer knives belt knives I'm talking about, like workhorse knives. I don't really like knives that are less than 4 inches. The blade is less than 4 inches. And this, let me get a ruler so that we can just get an idea of exactly how big this blade is. Alright, so hopefully you can see this in the camera. The blade itself is 5 inches long. Now there's a little bit more added to that bladed portion. There's a notch there and those sorts of things that make it almost 6 inches. But as far as the cutting part of the blade itself, it's a solid 5 inches. The handle, this is a single tang knife. That's something that I'm always also looking forward for when in my own personal knives that I take into the backcountry. I don't want any I don't want a mechanical knife. I don't want any bending parts or folding parts or anything like that in my workhorse knife. And so I'm always looking for a single tang, and that means that the knife runs right through the blade to the end. The steel is one solid piece from nose to end. And then you've got the handle here. Let me see what the handle is. It's a walnut wood handle. And you could tell as soon as you get it that it's high quality. Again, check out that handle. And it's nutted in there real nice and tight. The paracord is something I've added myself. I just add that to all of my gear, so you don't have to pay too much attention to that. I do that so that I can hang my gear around camp on trees and stuff like that, and then I have easy access to them. How about the sheath? The sheath is very nice. It's not the nicest sheath I've ever had, but you know, and I don't want to tell you what this is running for on Amazon at right this moment, because depending on its popularity, or you know, on how many people want it, they might want to raise the price. And so I don't want to give you any preconceived notions, except to tell you that the whole set right now, as I'm looking at it, is significantly under $100. And so for that price, I'm telling you what, right now, you can't beat that with a stick. I have a Pathfinder, and I was looking for it before I started recording this. I have a Pathfinder knife shop knife. It's the Mountain Lion. That has always been my preferred knife. Now that's a high carbon knife. This is stainless steel. That Mountain Lion knife from PKS has always been my preferred knife. It takes a beating. I get it out there and it takes a beating. But when this arrived, I said, this is every bit the quality of that PKS knife. You know, I was looking for defects in it, and I've been looking for defects in it, and there just ain't none. This is a really solid, beautiful knife. CoCuKi. Let me give you another look on that. Can you see the type of angles that are on that blade? I think you can. I think I'm letting it catch the light just right so that you can see the type of angles that are cut into that blade. It's a beautiful, beautiful knife. And of course, beauty means nothing, doesn't it, if the thing can't take abuse. And this is as solid as any other knife I've ever held. And there are some advantages to using a stainless steel blade over a high carbon blade. For one thing, you never have to worry about rust, really. But one concern that some folks might have, especially newbies, is they might think that you need a high carbon blade to strike your ferro rod. That ain't true. All you need is a 90-degree spine. In fact, I think I've told you in the past that I saw Lonnie over there from what's his channel? Far North Bushcraft. He broke a bottle one time and struck his ferro rod with a piece of glass. So really all you need is a sharp edge. Let's strike this here. So this is with the CoCuKi knife that I've been showing off, and we're just going to strike this ferro. There you go. You see that? This is kind of an old... There you go. So it strikes fine. It'll strike all day. So it's got that 90-degree spine that catches the ferro rod really nicely. So you don't need a high carbon blade for that. I think that misconception comes from the fact that if you want to get a fire started with flint and steel, so you're using a flint, you're striking the back of your knife to create sparks and create a fire, then yes, you would need a high carbon blade for that. You couldn't do that off this stainless steel blade. But otherwise, this knife can take, I mean, it's a workhorse. It's a really beautiful knife. So that was my primary interest. And this knife has now found a place in my bug out bag. Did I talk about the sheath? The sheath is a little thin. I started to talk about it and I never finished. The sheath is a little thin. Not in the places that really matter, like the part that covers the blade. You can see there is nice and thick. That's nice and thick leather. It is leather, but the actual rest of the sheath is pretty thin. You see that? But I think that's a cost cut and measure, and I think that CoCuKi has managed to maintain a pretty high degree of quality even with these cost cut and measures. So it fits right in there, all nice and good. Now I do have here. I was pruning my dogwood tree out there. And I thought that I would use some of these branches here to kind of show you. Just to do something with the knife rather than just talk about it. So there you go. If you're cleaning off some of these smaller branches, it does it just fine. Let's see, how about for carving? You see it cuts. It comes very, very sharp. And like I said, I was impressed that it was so oiled and everything when it came. Of course, this is green wood. Green wood's always easier to cut than seasoned wood. So I know a lot of folks might be skeptical about that. But just trust me when I tell you it is a very sharp knife. And I haven't been abusing it or anything, so it has maintained a very, very sharp blade. Now let's talk about this hatchet here. Now here's what I'm going to say about this. Again, the set is currently selling for significantly less than $100. And if you can find a knife of this quality for less than $100, just the knife, I will congratulate you, because I don't think you can. So the fact that you can get these as a set is a really fantastic deal, I think. So here is the CoCuKi hatchet. They call it an axe. It's a hatchet. And again, I was mostly interested in the knife. So the hatchet, it was kind of, I could take it or leave it. But the longer I've had this, the more useful it seems to me. The design is, I mean, you can tell that these two are related, right? It's the same design. The handles, the single tang handle and design is the same. The width of the hatchet spine, is the same width as the back of this knife. So clearly these are the brother and sister here. Let me tell you why I was skeptical about the hatchet. It's grown on me. The reason I was skeptical is because generally I think if I'm going to take a hatchet, I want a workhorse, something like this. You know, something that can really do some heavy duty work. But if you're trying to cut weight and stuff in a pack, like in a backpacking pack, you know, depending on what you imagine yourself doing with a hatchet or an axe out in the woods, this might just hit the sweet spot for you. It's robust, it's very heavy, but not as heavy as a typical hatchet. Check out the width of that spine there, and that's a full tang hatchet. So there, I think this hatchet hits a really nice sweet spot as far as weight, utility. You know, you're probably not gonna fell a tree with something like this unless you absolutely had to. I mean, I reckon you could do it, and it'd take a while. But really what this would be used for, I think, is if you're building like a lean-to or something and you're trying to take branches off of a tree, or you're trying to fell smaller saplings, then this would do the job perfectly. You get down to the base, and in a few hacks you could have a small sapling felled. I'm talking significantly bigger than this, you know, just a tree that is 2-3 years old. Yeah, you could take down those trees and build a fort very, very easily. Again, I was very impressed that this you can still see the oil on there. It come really nicely oiled. I thought that was a nice detail. And the hatchet itself is as sharp as the knife. Very sharp. So when it comes, you got to be careful with it. You can see it's got several other tools built in there, like ratchet holes here. Underneath the blade right here, before I forget, that is a rope cutter. So that is very sharp. And that's for cutting rope right here. So be careful moving your hands around that. And again, this is very, very sharp. You can see there in the lighting that I've got right here now how nicely oiled that still is, even though I've owned this for about a month. So anyway, you're going to build a fort, you're going to be able to build a lean-to or something like that. You get down to the base of a sapling. Yeah, you cut right through that. Let's chop some of these. See, that's where this thing would really shine, is making your workload so much easier. Just making an easy peasy job out of this stuff. If you were doing that with your knife, with some of these larger trees, you know, you'd have to baton it. So you'd have to get the blade in there, and then you'd have to baton to clean a tree off of its branches. So there's the review. I was skeptical of this hatchet, but the longer I have it, the more I think, man, that probably will do everything I need to do around camp without all of the weight of something like this. You can see the difference in size there. Definitely a difference in weight. It's just kind of a nicely fits into its own niche, this little hatchet. And again, this is a walnut wood handle. It's got the same design as the knife. Really nice design there. You can't really appreciate just how robust this little hatchet is until you hold it in your hand. And then you're like, dadgum, that thing could really do some work around a camp. So there you go. There's my review, my little commercial, if you want to call it that, of the CoCuKi Axe and fixed blade knife combo set. Full tang, walnut wood handle for outdoor using, camping, survival, hunting, leather sheath included. They don't lie. It's a quality product, and I think it's something they're proud of. It's worth checking out, guys. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you in your decision making about whether or not to add this stuff to your kit.